So I'm going to try and follow Hagoel, which is not going to be easy. Azi and Moshe have been talking for a long time today about asking questions and doing research, and we're going to be talking right now about projects and things that everyone can do in order to further the cause of Zionism and what we believe in. And the first thing I want to talk about, as the first project that we're talking about, Azi and Moshe will follow me, but I want to talk about first of all questions. I found it true that most people don't actually ask questions about their own things. They often have a belief that they start with, and they stick to it, regardless of what comes up. And anything that they see that opposes it, they label it as something. They label it as discriminatory, as evil, or as hate speech, as blasphemy, or as something that they disagree with, something bad in and of itself. And so they don't actually have to confront it. Some people, instead, they often they see it and they're like, that's a good point, and they sort of interact with it, but they don't actually question anything. I'm not accusing anyone. Of course, I've done it myself many times and do it, everyone does it. But I think it's important to ask questions about what you believe in and to check things so you won't fall into the trap of, say, hate accidentally. One of the previous speakers, I don't remember exactly who spoke about, it was Segel. She spoke about how it is that they fall into this trap of anti-Zionism without actually having any hate in their heart. And they do hateful things and they say things that actually hurt people without actually meaning to. And I think, personally, it's because they don't question things and they don't look into things. It's fair enough. It's pretty difficult to sometimes. So it's important, in my opinion, to ask questions. There's an old metaphor brought by Rabbi Sachs in one of his books and by Chachamim in the Gemara, talking about the difference between a good potter and a bad potter. So someone who works with clay, a good person who works with clay, someone who knows what they're doing, they walk around their shop and they hit the clay with a metal rod to show, my clay is good. Whereas a bad potter, someone who doesn't make very good pots, walks around and they gently say, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. And obviously there's a difference between different pots, but the point is that's how you should be treating your beliefs. You shouldn't take a look at them, don't challenge that, don't do anything that could, make me think about it. No, you have to go around and you have to hit it. You have to ask questions about what you believe. You have to challenge your premises. If you believe something, ask why. Check yourself, why do you believe this? What's the basis for this? One really important way to do this is you talk to other people who disagree with you. You don't go over to it and you think for a second, you look at it, yep, seems right. No, you go over to other people and you try and figure out why other people disagree with you. You don't go over to it and you look up things to do that, because you can just find a website, imright.com, and then you spit in your opinion and it will tell you everything that you want to know. No, you look to other people who disagree with you. You read what they say. You listen to them. You try to argue against yourself. You don't just listen to them and then argue against them. You argue against yourself, because an argument isn't supposed to be you versus the other person. It's not you against them and, I have my belief, he has his belief, and so I have to try and prove him wrong. No, it's you and the other person versus the question. You're trying to figure out what's true. Because if you convince him of something that's wrong, it's not helpful to anyone. It doesn't improve anything. Your goal in any discussion should not be to disprove the other person, to humiliate them, to do anything like that. Your goal is supposed to be to try and find who's right. And it's you and the other person versus the question. You don't just look for evidence to support your claim, you look for evidence to support the other side's too. You try and figure out the truth. All of this can be summed up in one phrase that my dad used to tell me every time that I went to school. He didn't say, listen, he didn't tell me, come back and tell me what you learned. He told me to ask good questions. And I think that that's the most important thing to do. Thank you, guys.